You know, being on the road as a new professional speaker for the first 5 years of my career with the great Bill Gove, the father of professional speaking, was an amazing experience, to say the least. He was the best of the best. He was 85 years old when I met him. I was 32, and I went to the Bill Gove speech workshop. It changed my life. I knew the first day I went to that workshop, I called my wife, actually, and we had borrowed the money to attend the workshop. We didn't have put it on a 23% credit card, which is crazy, but we did because we didn't have the money. I called her after the first break, after 3 hours of that workshop, and I said, if we don't make at least $1 million speaking with what I've learned in the first 3 hours, I said, it's my fault. Now, I had no idea we were going to make tens of millions of dollars. I had no clue that was going to happen, but what he taught me during those first 5 years on the road, nonstop on the road until he died. Just, I want to share some of those things because Bill was the best of the best, and there's never going to be another Bill Gove. He taught the greatest speakers of all time and the 75-year history of this business. And one of the things I want to share with you was he said, kid. He called everybody kid because he was so much older than all of us, but especially me because I was 32. He said, kid, you got to learn to lighten up. You're too serious. You talk about mental toughness, and that's great. I said, Bill, it's not funny. It's not funny. Mental toughness isn't funny. He goes, I know it's not, but you've got to find a way to lighten up with an audience because they want to have fun. He said, the executives are very serious, but most of the audience are not executives. They are employees that want to have a good time, so you got to lighten up. So I remember we were on the road during the Bush-Gore presidential run, and the two most boring people of all time, George W. Bush on the platform and Al Gore. And Bill said, we got to come up with a little routine. So we had a little routine. We'd go back and forth on stage and say, Al Gore, the guy, he's so boring. The guy, this is the kind of guy that would have to put a pork chop around his neck to get his dog to play with him. This guy is just a nightmare. It just puts you to sleep watching him on TV. He's the kind of guy that goes to a sex orgy and complains about the cheese dip. The crackers are soggy. Can we get some new crackers over here? This guy. And audiences, we'd have 10,000 people in the audience, a business audience at 10 o'clock in the morning at IBM. And they would be rolling on the floor laughing. Not because it's a comedy club, because it's not. It's because they didn't expect the humor and the fun and all that. And I probed Bill about this for years because I saw the magic that happened when you play with an audience, when you have fun with them, when you lighten up. And I said, is it like telling jokes? And he said, no, it's not like telling jokes. You can tell one-liners. Comedians tell jokes. We don't really do jokes. He said, but it's the way you approach an audience. It's not just the lines you use or the words you use. It's the way you play with them. You approach them with an attitude of lightheartedness. And he said, they'll connect with you like nothing you've ever seen. And then he would show me on stage and 10,000 people would roar. And I thought, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen because I didn't get into speaking to be funny or fun even. I got into it because I was a mental toughness expert having great luck with professional athletes and sports teams and Olympic athletes, but I was making no money. I'm coaching some of the best athletes in the world, and I knew what I was talking about. I had a good program. One time, one night a guy comes up to me. I was playing in my little garage band locally. We had a little party. I played at a party, and a guy came to during the break. He says, Steve, I hate to say this to you, but you're never going to get paid. No one's ever going to pay you to play that guitar. I appreciate your efforts, but it's not your thing. Your singing's not your thing. Not that I thought it was, but he said, you know what you ought to do? And I said, no, what should I do? He said, you ought to put that guitar down and pick that microphone up and go talk to companies about mental toughness. He said, you'll never work another day in your life because what you have is good, but you're selling it to the wrong audience. That was the greatest thing I ever heard in my life. I went out and did that, and then all of a sudden, the same work I was doing with athletes started paying, 20 times and 30 times and 40 times and 50 times as much. And it was a great thing. But so that's why I got into speaking. I didn't get into it to be funny or to be on stage or anything like that. I didn't like public speaking like most people. I stayed away from public speaking. It's also the most powerful skill in the history of business that people just have no idea how powerful it is, whether you get paid or not. There's a whole bunch of reasons for another video. You might know this already, and that's why you're watching this. I'm not sure. But bottom line is that if you lighten up on stage and you have fun with the audience and you bring them this fun, playful self of yours, they will connect with you. And that's the goal that any professional speaker worth their weight, talks about. Not standing ovations. That says more about the audience than it does about the speaker. Connection. Emotional connection, not sucking up to the audience, but connecting with them on an emotional level where they say, I trust this person. I don't necessarily agree with everything he or she says, but I trust them. And It doesn't mean you're playful with them all the time. I mean, I speak on mental toughness. I do turnarounds for Fortune 500 sales teams. Some of these meetings are bloodbaths. I mean, people get fired. I mean, it's a big deal. But as a part of the program, you have some fun. You show them that side of your personality, your fun side, and your goofy side even. And it works like magic. I've never seen anything like it as a professional speaker in 25 years. If you've never done this and you're being too serious on stage, it's costing you a fortune. No exaggeration. Show them your fun. Show them your goofy side. Show them your light side. Show them your funny side. It's just one part of giving a professional level speech. Oh, but it's a very important part. Give it a try and see what happens.